Nigerian High Commission in London closed its services for 10 days to cut further spread of COVID-19 among officials. Nigeria also will roll out the second phase of vaccination against COVID-19 pandemic on Monday, 26th of this month. Plus, Nigeria has taken delivery of 177,600 doses of the Johnson & Johnson COVID-19 vaccine out of the over 29 million doses expected in the country. These and more on Panorama today with me, Ayodeji Makinde. Nigeria is set to roll out the second phase of vaccination against COVID-19 pandemic on Monday, 26th of this month, in the midst of increase in cases of Delta variant of the pandemic, which the Minister of Health says has not reached up to the level of consideration for a lockdown. State House correspondent Jide Onifade reports.
Minister of Health Osage Hanure leading the Directors General of agencies under the ministry to the weekly executive press briefing at the State House, organized by the presidential media team. They all take turn to brief the press on the role of their agencies in response to the coronavirus pandemic in the country and the outbreak of the Delta variant, which cases of infection are on the increase day after day. They also speak on the second phase of the vaccination scheduled to begin next week.
We have to use stringent review of the approved vaccines. Once we approve them, that doesn't mean we're going to just take them when they come. They come with information. We take samples at the airport, cold room, and we analyze in our lab. Because we want to be sure that what we read in the dossier actually matches what we are testing.
Also expecting the AstraZeneca vaccine. Our plan is that for those who have gotten the first dose of the AstraZeneca vaccine during the first phase, there will be doses available to take their second shots in the next few weeks. Please make sure that you take the AstraZeneca vaccine if that is what you took for the first dose. If you took first dose as AstraZeneca, please take the second dose as AstraZeneca. And if you're going to take Moderna as your first dose, also take it as your second dose. Do not be concerned that you may not get the second dose of the AstraZeneca. Please do not mix and match the vaccines.
In the past few weeks, the number of infections have been on the increase on daily basis.
In terms of individuals, it's not news to any of us that many of us have dropped those critical measures that we need to carry out. We see events happening all over the country. We see very few people wearing masks. The consequences will be obvious, unfortunately, unless we go back to some of these restrictions.
So it's a moral question. I'm telling the young people that this is not a time when everybody else is rising to defend their country. You say you are going on strike. Whatever it is, the reason, some of them just, some of them don't look so just, some of them easily can be solved, others are not easily solved. It's not a time to say we are going on strike. We are with you. We are also your professional colleagues. We've been through residency. We know where you stand. It's a national call for us to come up in arms. Let us work together, solve this problem, save lives.
80% of the infections are of the Delta variant, and the ministry says Nigerians must observe the regulations as signed by President Muhammadu Buhari, a measure against the spread of COVID-19 pandemic. In the State House, Jide Onifade, NTA News.
Meanwhile, Nigeria has taken delivery of 177,600 doses of the Johnson & Johnson COVID-19 vaccine out of the over 29 million doses expected in the country. Executive Director, National Primary Healthcare Development Agency, Dr. Faisal Shaib, while receiving the Johnson & Johnson COVID-19 vaccines at the National Strategic Cold Store, Abuja, explained that it is a direct purchase by the federal government through the African Union program. Olusheye Adiagbo has details.
Nigeria, Africa's most populous country, is grappling with the third wave of COVID-19. This is evident in the high number of cases it has been recording at this time. Not quite 2 weeks after the country took delivery of 4,080,000 doses of Moderna COVID-19 vaccine from the United States government, it is once again taking delivery of the first batch of the Johnson & Johnson COVID-19 vaccine out of the expected 29,850,000 doses. This is to allow the country ramp up its vaccination program as efforts to mitigate the third wave of the pandemic intensify. In view of the Johnson & Johnson being a single-dose vaccine, the National Primary Healthcare Development Agency boss, Dr. Faisal Shoaib, says getting the vaccine to the people at the rural communities is central in its administration plans.
This is because these are the people who may find it difficult to leave their homes to the health facility for the second dose after taking a first one.
The target is to deliver almost 50 million vaccine before the end of December 2021.
Partners in the management of COVID-19 in Nigeria say since equitable access to safe and effective vaccines is critical to ending the coronavirus pandemic, people must avail themselves of the provision to get vaccinated.
These vaccines are safe and effective and will be the game changer.
Religious leader, a traditional leader or a governor is to encourage all your people to take the vaccines as quickly and as timely as is possible.
Nigeria awaits the arrival of more doses of the Oxford AstraZeneca vaccine, Moderna, as well as the Johnson & Johnson as time goes on. In Abuja, Oluseyi Adiagbo, NTA News.
The Nigerian Center for Disease Control, NCDC, has announced 753 new cases of COVID-19 in the country within the last 24 hours. The breakdown of the new cases from the 14 states indicates that Lagos State tops the daily statistics with 364 new cases. Akwa Ibom recorded 141, Oyo 74, Rivers 46, Abia 38, Ogun 24, Kwara 20, Imo 19, FCT 12, Ekiti 10, Delta 9, Edo 6, Plateau 5 and Bayelsa 1. With this development, Nigeria has 180,661 total confirmed cases of COVID-19, out of which 166,560 patients were treated and discharged, while the death toll is now 2,200. The Nigerian High Commission in London has closed its services for 10 days to cut further spread of COVID-19 among officials working at the embassy. A statement by the High Commission in London says some staff have tested positive for the virus, which necessitated the action in line with prevention protocols. The High Commission asks for more understanding and cooperation by those affected by the action. 31,815 deaths already have been recorded across the country, and the Director General of the Nigerian Center for Disease Control, Chikwe Ihekwazu, is warning all that the cholera outbreak is killing more Nigerians now than COVID-19 due to non-adherence to health regulations. The epidemiologist spoke at the weekly executive briefing of the press at the Presidential Villa in Abuja, organized by the Presidential Media Team, headed by Femi Adesina, Special Advisor to the President on Media and Publicity. 22 states, he says, are currently experiencing an outbreak of cholera, and there is urgent need for every individual and households to ensure cleanliness and sanitation.
Really push for increased investments in wash infrastructure. What do I mean by wash infrastructure? Both among the rich and the poor, we are in trouble. We used to have water reticulation systems in our cities. Now, every middle-class household in Nigeria relies on a borehole. Boreholes have intrinsic challenges. The poor rely on water fetched from downstream when someone is defecating upstream into the same stream. So we need to educate our people. We need to encourage our state governments to invest in water distribution and really raise this with your support up the agenda in the press, in the media, among our politicians as we go into the next election cycle in Nigeria. So really, cholera is a massive problem. We have outbreaks in 22 of the 36 plus 1 states in Nigeria have ongoing outbreaks right now. And we need to save those lives as much as we need to save the lives of people with COVID.
Dr. Ihekwazu advised the people to avoid open defecation, maintain good and proper hygiene such as washing hands regularly, coughing into elbow, and regular house and environment cleaning. The federal government is fostering partnership and closer collaboration with state governments for the implementation of national water supply and sanitation policy. Joshua Ojito reports that Gombe State is piloting the implementation of the policy with the Memorandum of Understanding signed for the rehabilitation and upgrade of Gombe Regional Water Supply Scheme.
Gombe Regional Water Scheme, built 16 years ago, has the capacity of supplying 35 million liters of water daily to Gombe and 15 other villages. With the growth in the population, the water scheme became inadequate, and the need to expand and upgrade the facility becomes imperative to the government of Gombe State. Now, the state government is leveraging on federal government counterpart fund for urban water supply improvement with 30% funding from federal government to provide adequate water supply to the people of Gombe State.
We seize the opportunity to get the support of the Federal Ministry of Water Resources to see how we can jointly, improve and add more network and supply potable and hygienically treated water to the people.
In addition to that, we recently got a World Bank approval of $700 million under the Soil Wash Program, Sustainable Urban Rural Water Supply, Sanitation and Hygiene Program, which is also going to involve quite a number of states. There are 7 Tier 1 states that are going to get a financing of $50 to $60 million for their urban water supply schemes.
With the Memorandum of Understanding signed between the Federal Ministry of Water Resources and Gombe State Government, the people of the state are hopeful that it will translate to improved water supply for the city center and environs. In Abuja, Joshua Ojito, NTA News.
Now let's talk some security matters. The National Assembly has approved extra budgetary funding for modernized equipment to enhance the firepower of the armed forces of Nigeria. This was contained in a message by the Senate President Ahmed Lawan to participants of the National Defense College, Course 29 in Abuja.
Assembly has approved budgetary funding for modernized equipment to enhance firepower, counter-improved explosive devices, intelligence, surveillance, traffic acquisition, reconnaissance, and also communication.
Some major advances at the National Defense College in the past year. This includes the upgrade of the Center for Strategic Research and Studies. The college also upgraded the equipment at its medical center to cope with growing demands.
The event is part of activities marking the graduation of the participants. In another development, 156 criminals have been eliminated by troops in different operations within 2 weeks. Defense correspondent Ismail Musa reports that this was disclosed at the periodic briefing of the Defense Media Operations in Abuja.
The operations led to the neutralization of 27 Boko Haram and ISWAP fighters, arrest of 51 Boko Haram and Islamic State of West African Province terrorists.
It is another Thursday. The coordinator of Defense Media Operations is here with compilation of achievements of the gallant officers and soldiers on the field between 29 July and 12 August 2021. The intensity of joint armed forces operations in different locations compelled some terrorists to surrender.
No fewer than 1,000 terrorists and their families, comprising adult females, children, surrendered to own troops at different locations in the northeast. Notable among them are the notorious Boko Haram terrorist bomb expert named Musa Adamu, aka Mala Musa Abuja, and his deputy.
Several airstrikes by the air component of Operation Hadarin Daji and its ground troops successfully smoked bandits from their hideouts in parts of Zamfara and Katsina states.
The airstrikes resulted in destruction of bandit structures, neutralized no fewer than 123 bandits, and also the destruction of their logistic facilities, and particularly one of their leaders, Halilu Tubali.
At the waterfronts, troops of Operation Delta Safe conducted several anti-illegal oil operations in the south-south, leading to the activation of illegal refining sites and recovery of arms. From the defense headquarters in Abuja, Ismail Musa, NTA News.
The National Drug Law Enforcement Agency, NDLEA, says it has apprehended a local and illegal gun manufacturer with 3 bandits with AK-47 rifles in its routine stop-and-search operations in different parts of the country in the past week. Chairman of the agency, Muhammad Buba Marwa, told newsmen that the NDLEA is handing over the suspects to the appropriate authorities for further investigation.
Nigeria's fight against illicit drug trafficking seems to be enjoying increased momentum, and with it more inroads into the labyrinth of crime and criminality. While the lenses have been trained on drug busts in different parts of the country in the past week, the dragnet has uncovered a disturbing competence that may not be far from the center of the nation's unending battle to put insecurity under control.
And a fabricated high-caliber G3 rifle was discovered with 78 rounds of live ammunition of 7.62 caliber and 5 empty shells. Definitely, this may not be the only manufactured weapon. We just chanced on this one.
The suspect confidently explains his dexterity in manufacturing high-caliber machine guns, giving some pointers to perhaps what might be an unconsidered value chain in the shadows of outlawry and insecurity.
I manufactured it in London North.
Since when have you been manufacturing?
It's not that. I have the talent right from my childhood.
3 bandits armed with AK-47 rifles on their way from Igabi local government of Kaduna State to Kankara local government in Katsina State for another devilish mission were intercepted.
Locally made small arms and light weapons and their distribution across the country remain a sore point of the nation's quest to solve its security challenges. In Abuja, Fisayo Gunfuyi, NTA News.
You're watching Panorama on the network service of the NTA. We'll take a short break. Do stay with us.
The vaccine offers hope for a safe country free of coronavirus. I urge all state governments, traditional and religious leaders to take the lead in the mobilization effort within their environment and spheres of influence. I similarly urge all eligible Nigerians to present themselves and be vaccinated in accordance with the order of priority already mapped out at the various authorized designated centers only.
You're welcome back. Now, what should be the role of Nigerian youth in building a country of their dreams? This is the focus of the Nigerian Youth Summit held in commemoration of the International Youth Day. Correspondent Ekene Undulwe will tell us more.
It is estimated that youths make up 60% of the Nigerian population. Available data show that out of this figure, 13.9 million youths are unemployed. Experts say the situation is a recipe for insecurity and poverty. Channeling this youth population towards development of the nation is the reason for this gathering.
We are calling on Nigerian youth to involve themselves more in agriculture
And we're also asking government to give an enabling ground where Nigerian youth will see agriculture as a viable cause, as a viable business, the way people are going to oil and gas.
For us to achieve that dream, we have to de-emphasize our fault lines. What are the fault lines? Ethnicity, religion.
The gathering identified gaps in skills and entrepreneurship development in the country, but urged youths to seek self-development.
The era where youth should begin to hope and desiring and hope and be waiting for government to provide job is over. It is time for the youth to begin to create an initiative to create employment.
And we have too many people who graduate from school without employment. So we need to begin to build young people to understand the value of skills. Those who have talent, God-given talent, how can we develop them?
Key players in youth development further advised youths to remain patriotic and committed to issues that enhance security and corporate existence of Nigeria. In Abuja, Ekene Ndulue, NTA News.
The Minister of Humanitarian Affairs, Disaster Management and Social Development, Sadiya Umar Farouk, has launched a project tagged Providing Immediate Socio-Economic Relief to Vulnerable Migrant Returnees Impacted by COVID-19 in northern Nigeria. Ruth Aguele reports that the ministry is partnering with the International Organization for Migration and the Embassy of Switzerland in Nigeria for the implementation of the projects.
The
slogan, "No Place Like Home," clearly depicts the reality for Ali Ahmed. After spending 8 years outside Nigeria, for him, whatever it takes, survival at home is best.
I officially launched the project providing immediate socio-economic relief to vulnerable migrants impacted by the COVID-19 pandemic in northern states.
With the launch of the project by the Ministry of Humanitarian Affairs, Disaster Management and Social Development, it is a new dawn for migrants in the Northeast. The project seeks to address the socio-economic needs of vulnerable migrants by providing immediate relief.
The project is designed to complement actions funded under the UN COVID-19 Basket Fund by focusing on returned and potential migrants with beneficiaries drawn from Yobe, Kano, Katsina, Zamfara, and Jigawa states.
The project has been designed to align with the federal government of Nigeria's priorities and will ensure the needs of women, men are considered throughout the project.
This particular project is another proof of the well-functioning migration partnership and the importance Switzerland attaches to Nigeria.
The project is expected to run for 9 months. The International Organization for Migration is to facilitate its implementation and to be funded by the Swiss government to ensure the sustainability of the program and make life better for migrants. In Abuja, Ruth Aguele, NTA News.
And it's time for an update in the world of sports, and Clement Oloruntoba is our guide.
World Football Governing Body FIFA has released the latest ranking, and it was a slide for Nigeria Super Eagles as a drop in position. The newest ranking indicates that Nigeria dropped 7 places to 34th position in the world and 5th in Africa. Nigeria's senior men's side garnered 1,480 points as against 1,487 it recorded in the previous ranking. Senegal remained the number 1 team in the continent and were ranked 21st in the world. Now to basketball. The not impressive performances of the Tigers at the just concluded Tokyo 2020 Olympics seems to have had an immediate impact on the team, with victories over United States and Argentina in the build-up to the Olympic Games. The Tigers seems to have arrived to conquer other countries. The latest ranking released by FIBA on Thursday shows that the Nigerian senior men's basketball team dropped from 22nd to 24th position. The Nigerian side will have a chance to regain its prominence with forthcoming Afro-Basket competition slated for Kigali in Rwanda. And finally, Team Sokoto continued their impressive run at the National Under-12 and 15 Handball Championship, holding at Gingiya Memorial Sport Complex in the Caliphate city of Sokoto as the championship enters Day 5 Friday. In the matchday 4 fixtures played on Thursday, Sokoto defeated Katsina with an emphatic 27-8 victory in the under-15 boys categories and follow up with 2 other impressive victories against Kevi 27-14 and Suleja Academy 26-11. Suleja Suitors lost to Kaduna 25-18. Kano lost 13-23 to Suleja Suitors, while Kaduna falter against Adamawa with a 30-23 defeats. Clement Oloruntoba, NTA News.
And that is Panorama. Many thanks for watching. I'm Ayodeji Makinde. Please remember to connect with the NTA and stand against rape and rapists to be a star. On behalf of the entire production crew, good afternoon.
Arise, O Nigerians! Let's applaud the courage of Flight Lieutenant Abayomi Dairo, aka the Aggressor, for his skillful and dogged escape from the bloodthirsty bandits in the forest of Zamfara State. 3 hearty cheers also to all military and security personnel who are tirelessly protecting fellow Nigerians from insurgency and banditry while maintaining peace and order. Nigerians are proud of Abayomi Dairo and all our gallant men and women in uniform for sacrificing so much to keep us safe. We admire your courage and we say thank you. God bless the armed forces. God bless Nigeria. This message is from the Federal Ministry of Information and Culture.
We've been trying our best to contain the situation. In our operations, we've been able to make a lot of recoveries. We've been able to also arrest suspects that are involved in this kind of activities. And we've been able to also recover, particularly arms and ammunition, from those who are carrying it unlawfully and disturbing the peace of the people. But generally, our morale in the Nigerian police is always guided by our commitment to do what we have sworn to do. Peace and security must be looked into as a priority by all, to look at security as the business of all of us.
This message is from the Federal Ministry of Information and Culture.
The center is purposely established in order to provide these services that are examinations, medical examinations, and investigations that were not provided for in Kano as well as the entire Northwest region. It's equipped with modern technological equipment in terms of radiological services. We have MRI 1.5 Tesla. We have digital X-ray as well as 4D ultrasound equipment. The importance of the center cannot be overemphasized. Just within 1 year, the center attended to thousands and numerous patients as well as medical examinations. NKDC is established in order also to provide these healthcare facilities at a discounted price.
This message is from the Federal Ministry of Information and Culture.
I'm the Chief Resident Engineer and Project Supervisor of the Second Niger Bridge Project. The Second Niger Bridge Project is a project that has been conceived for a very long time, but it has finally come to life during this present administration. This project has a lot of socio-economic benefits, and it has impacted positively on the lives of the host communities, both in Anambra State and Delta State. The people are very happy. The host communities, they partnered with us because apart from the social benefits, indigenes are also employed on this project. We can see how their lives are being improved.
This message is from the Federal Ministry of Information and Culture.
This is the network service of the NTA.
Sheer adventurism is driving me to go deep into the Onyama mines. It is the biggest coal mine in the whole of Well, the coronation of the new Oni is a watershed in the history of the Yoruba land generally, and Ife in particular. Now, because they have a leader now, that will... Simply put, Gura is a beautiful countryside with awesome landscapes. If something differently would be done to the Nigerian textile industries, that our youth will be employed. Many people that attend the church here can tell you, service in Holy Rosa is in We are taking a canoe tour of the communities on the bank of River Niger in Kesu. Nigeria is still an untold story. Beautiful and life-changing stories waiting to be told. My experience traversing this country with a camera and microphone convinces me so. I sometimes really wonder, does this country really have in its fingertips records of its actual potentials, especially in tourism and culture? I admit my shortcomings in economic analysis, but I cannot help thinking that if this country can effectively harness its potentials in tourism and culture alone, it would have no business seeking for alternative sources of revenue. There is so much gold mine in its backyard. At any rate, I have a story to tell. Machina Urbanate in Yobe State may not sound too familiar to the larger nation. Observers of culture and tourism development may still have a glimmer of what this ancient kingdom has been and still is in the field of cultural development. At various times during Abuja Cultural Carnival, it came first in Daba. In fact, there were periods when the federal government was directly funding this emirate for its excellence generally and for the promotion of Daba as cultural identity of Nigeria. Historically, Machina Emirate is known all over the north as home of crack horsemen and spearmen. With the natural progression of time, Machina's reputation is still untouched.
Right from ancient years, the empire building war, heroism, the Machina warriors were very skillful horsemen. They were well known and were well acclaimed as brave cavalry heroes.
Aware of his prowess, combined with the breathtaking elements of historical and cultural significance, Machina Emirate made it a duty to every year stage a cultural festival to showcase what endowment they have in culture and tourism, and how easily governments and private sector can cash on this rare event to elevate their business and their people.
The rich cultural festival have been part of what made the great ancient Kenim Borno Empire under the Sefawa dynasty, to which Machina belongs, a very famous and powerful since centuries past.
Machina is an ancient kingdom dating back to 198 AD, when their first ruler in recorded history, Mai Aliu Bago, ruled. Today it is a modest township with economic, historical and cultural significance. The route to Machina from Kano was quite a picture. River Hadeja embellishes significant section of the distance. Water points are everywhere. They attract giants. In Nigeria, many people may think that pastoral life in Nigeria belongs to keepers of cattle, sheep and goats only. The route to Machina is a rich picture of pastoralists tending camel. It is a sublime sighting. The township Machina is no less picturesque. All around it and its local communities, you are faced with a public transport system that is different, simple and effective. Other parts of northern Nigeria know nothing like it. There is this market day scenario too. A picture where vehicles are loaded to the high heavens to make the journey back home through the desert and at dusk. Machina is a close-door neighbor to several communities in Niger Republic. Centuries of close contact allow for watertight mutual relationships. They are together always in their markets and in their marriages. They have deep affinity in their history too. In reality, Machina used to have affinity with the people beyond its northern neighbors.
The Kenim-Borno Empire encompasses a very large area size, starting from most parts of northern Nigeria, extending to Lake Chad area, some parts of Cameroon, and some parts of Niger down to Air, boundary of Libya.
The reality of Machina Annual Cultural Festival is a master class. It is 5 days of lavish cultural fiesta, the likes of which is scarcely seen. Beyond the execution of the festival, there is a vocal storyline to it, the promotion of ordinary people, the elevation of their values. The Machinama may be the chief protagonist of the carnival, but the greatness of his kingdom and his people is at the heart of his objectives. A key feature of the Machina Annual Festival is horse racing. It featured for 2 successive days, and believe me, it is no child's play, although children are its driving force. Horse racing, once popular all over the north, is a dying business now. Machina is keeping it alive. All racetracks are resurfaced. Younger children are meant to run the races and to take care of the horses. Public interest is regenerated, and the horses are back on the race courses. I wanted to really do a piece to camera to introduce a particular heat. The horses took up ahead of me and I lost my lines. I did not miss the spirited race though. There is a talking point on this one. One of the horses lost his young rider, but it continues with the race nonetheless, riderless. It was racing so spiritedly it could have come first, but for the efforts of the two other riders. That horse emerged third. It received no accolades though for deserting its rider. Between races, the Persian interlude sufficed. They were displaced from one of the legendary horse racers of old in Machina. Royalty are reputed to be the major supporters of horse racing in Nigeria. There are not less than 20 emirs from across Nigeria for the Machina race. They in particular want support from the federal government to bring back horse racing in Nigeria to its former glory. The key start to the horse racing event of Machina Cultural Festival is the reality of young boys, very young if you ask me, handling stallions with expert hands and fearlessly. It is a masterstroke. One day, two of the racing tour was over. I marvel at the journey back home. Tomorrow it will be Daba, and the Yobe State Governor will be there. Wait a minute though. The day of Daba was the grand finale of the Machina Cultural Festival. The night before it, however, was beautifully engaging. True to the objectives of this festival, grassroots sports were a dominant feature of it. Youth were at the center of it all. The night brings to light Langa. Langa is a handicap sport. Langa is basically a sport where you use only one leg. It is a very popular nighttime sport in many parts of the north. At the grassroots level, it is more identified with the teenagers. At the competitive level, as in Machina, adults participate too. In this cultural festival, two groups compete. One group defends, the other attack. The attacking group will work at getting their baseman touch the end line of their opponent. He is here identified with a tie to his waist. It is the duty of the defenders to prevent him from breaching their goal. All struggles are on one leg. The night Langa is a knockout challenge. The final is on the day of Daba. Perhaps the most entertaining grassroots sport at the Machina Cultural Festival is the wrestling contest. It is a high voltage contest. It begins ahead of the day of Daba too. Over 50 participants drawn from the entire emirate were competing. It was a knockout match. On the day of the Daba, only 4 contestants will remain to decide the third, second, and the champion, who will ultimately be crowned the Seriki of Machina Emerald Cultural Festival. I've almost preempted the Great Machina Daba. It is a spectacle. Generally, Daba Festival is identified with the North. Machina is the epitome of excellence in its execution.
Bayan su a halin yanzu kuna ganin dawakai guda 12 dawakan to 6 ne dawakan zage guda 6 ga su an shirya komai da komai wato a takaice dai tafiya ne na mai martaba sarki. To a halin yanzu ga mai martaba sarki ya riga ya doso wannan waje a halin yanzu zan miƙa mu magana ga dafa ya kawo takaitaccen tarihi na sarkin Machina.
Yes, on the day of the Daba in Machina, the outgoing governor of Yobe State was there. So was his successor. There were witnesses to the exciting sportsmanship of the festival. There was a point in the conduct of the Daba when the Emir of Machina, His Royal Highness Alhaji Bashir Al-Bashir Bukar, dismounted, and all chieftains came forward in their mount to pay homage to all the guests around. Another beautiful side of the day of the Daba was the finals of the wrestling competition, when a new wrestling king will emerge and will collect his sword of authority. It was a cracker. First, the match decided the third place. Then, of course, the decider. Eventually, Yahaya Goga emerges overall winner of the wrestling competition. What a proud man he was. He was not only turbaned as the new Sarkin Kokawa of Machina Emirate. The governor of Yobe State personally handed him his sword of authority. It is a masterstroke that Machina Cultural Festival allow ordinary people come close to the authority, who were in attendance to appreciate the arts of the ordinary people. Yahya, the new Machina Wrestling King, was happy at so many fronts. Being champion is one. Being the first outside Machina Township to win the annual wrestling festival is another.
Saboda ba yau ake abin nan ba, mu taba daukan takoban nan ba.
On the day, Lanka finals was decided too. Apart from the usual cultural displays and sports, an award of appreciation in form of traditional title of Machina Emirate was conferred on the outgoing governor of Yobe State, Alhaji Ibrahim Gaidau, by the Emir of Machina, Alhaji Bashir Al-Bashir Bukar.
His Excellency Governor Alhaji Dr. Ibrahim Gaidam has been able to solve many of the problems of Machina, in particular those of water and road construction.
There were important highlights that really stands Machina Emirate out in Nigeria beyond its cultural festival. Do you know that snakes are considered brothers and sacred in Machina? Nobody killed them and nobody harmed them because they are assumed to be twin brothers of a certain member of Machina Royal House.
In the history of our forefathers, not my father, my grandfather, but in the lineage, in the lineage, we were told that in this palace, a woman gave birth to a snake and a human being. The snake could not stay with human beings, and it just crawled into the rocks. Since the palace, just behind the palace is a rock. But anytime we are doing celebrations, they do come out. Anytime we have some sad things, they come and sympathize with us. So we definitely don't kill snake. We consider them as our blood relation.
In yet another turn, there were periods when people of Machina Emirate were hill dwellers. This is Karbe Kanwa, from where the Machina people descended to their present settlement. A special feature of it is the Merukura, that is the big palace. It is still there under the rock. Another picture of it is Kauganga, or stone drum. With it, Machina people of old amused themselves. There is not much information, however, on from what period to what period Machina people settled on this hill, and when they descended to their present location and why. The good news, however, is the resolve of the Emir Bashir Al-Bashir Bukar to commission excavation of the area by archaeologists and anthropologists.
We have been getting oral traditions that our forefathers lived on those around those areas. So if we can dig some more, we may get the materials that they use and the rest, the palace and even the maybe architecture of the palace and the rest. So I want to restrict that particular area so that it will be a tourist center. When we come to festival, we take our dignitaries to know our location.
COVID-19, that is the black swan of the